Hello, and welcome to the first part of my Monster Hunter Double Cross import guide. This guide is aimed towards people who have played prior Monster Hunter games. I don't recommend playing your first Monster Hunter game in a language you don't understand. This time, we'll be talking about what I like to call the matching game. I'll be giving some pointers on how to figure out what items are what, both out in the field and when trying to craft gear. If you find this part frustrating, then I'm sorry to say, but importing a Monster Hunter game probably won't be for you. On the other hand, if you can get into the mindset of the matching game, you'll be ready to hunt and craft to your heart's content when you get your hands on Monster Hunter Double Cross. Let's start with consumable items. Here we see a potion, a mega potion, a first aid med, a first aid med plus, some dash juice, an energy drink, a hot drink, and a demon drug. If we can't read their names, how can we know which is which? For starters, the colors of each drink are the same regardless of what language we're playing in, so we know that these are the possibilities. For some of these, there are easy ways to tell them apart. We can easily spot the higher level versions because they've got the same characters at the beginning, but then have more on the end. Thus, we know that these must be the Mega Potion and the First Aid Med Plus. But how can we tell the different types of curatives apart from one another? Well, we know first aid meds are supply items. This means two things. First, they have this yellow text when you hover over them in the item menu. Second, if your items are sorted, they'll always be towards the end of the list. So let's sort our items. Now we can see that these ones are towards the end and have that yellow text, so we know they must be the first aid meds. That handles the green jars, so let's move on. We've got a hot drink and a demon drug here. We want to use the demon drug, but we only have the one hot drink, so we don't want to accidentally use it before we enter a cold area. How can we tell them apart without drinking them? This one's easy. Open your item pouch and check the rarities. A hot drink will be rare 1, since you can buy it from a shop and it's a basic item, while the demon drug will be rare 4, since it's a more advanced hunting tool. Item rarity can also help us tell apart herbal meds, life crystals, and life powders, among other things. The yellow drinks get a little tougher. We've got an energy drink and a dash juice here, but they're the same rarity, so how do we know which is which? A dash juice is too valuable to drink just to figure out whether or not it was an energy drink. Here we can use the combo list to help us out. We know that an energy drink is made from honey and mushrooms, while dash juice is made from catalysts and meat. Find the right recipes in your combo list, and you can see that an energy drink has 6 characters in its name, while the dash juice only has 3. Now we know which is which. Next, we'll apply what we learned identifying those beverages to these meats. Which of these is the ration, which is the rare steak, and which is the well-done steak? One's a supply item, and one has a higher rarity, so that should clue you in. If you still aren't sure, open a Monster Hunter game in your native language to check your answers. Now that we know various ways to tell what usable items are what, let's move on to identifying monster parts. In order to upgrade your weapon, the blacksmith wants this monster part, but you don't have any. How can we find out what monster we need to hunt? Well, let's take a look at some monsters who drop parts of that color. We've got Argyros, Gypsaros, Plesioth, and Brachydios. Now, the first 2 or 3 characters in a monster part's name are almost always the kanji for the monster's title, so we could go to the Monster Hunter Wikia and look up the Japanese titles for each of those monsters and match the part that way. Alternatively, we can go into our item boxes and find their parts. If you can't recognize what parts come from which monster, there's nothing wrong with going and hunting another one of each and taking note in the rewards screens. This is Monster Hunter after all. Now, here are some parts that we've gotten from each of these monsters. Which one do we need to hunt in order to get the part the blacksmith wants? In this case, we need to get something from Plesioth, so go fight one and make sure to break everything so you've got a better chance at getting the part you want. Of course, there was another hint that could have helped us narrow things down. The kanji for water appears in the Plesioth's title. How would we know that if we can't read the kanji? Well, this is just another aspect of the matching game. While I won't say you need to learn how to pronounce them or how to read them, there are a few kanji that can really help you if you get to recognize them. You see, unlike how Generations uses icons for weapon elements, in Japanese they just use kanji. As such, learning to recognize these kanji will help us to make better weapon decisions down the line. Of course, weapons usually tend to have elements and statuses that the monsters they're made from use, so we could rely on that. But then there could be a few weapons that we might be wrong about, so try to remember how to identify these kanji, as they all appear as elements and statuses on weapons. This is fire, and it looks kinda like a campfire. This is water. It's got some flowing lines. This is lightning. There's a little rain cloud on top, and lightning almost always comes from rain clouds. This is ice. It's water, but with an extra line to let you know it's frozen over. It looks almost like a snowflake. This is dragon, and this lone kanji is really complicated, just like Elder Dragons are. This is poison, and it looks kinda like a flask of poison. This is paralysis, and the left kanji has a lot of spikes, just like a gobble's paralytic tail. This is sleep. There are a lot of rectangular shapes here, just like beds and pillows. This is blast, and if you'll notice, the left kanji has the fire kanji smushed into it. So this must be related to fire somehow. Blast it is. And here are 3 more useful kanji to learn to recognize. This is large. It looks like a person stretching out to take up as much space as possible. This is small. It's trying not to take up much space, unlike the last one. And this is medium. It's a box with a line through the middle, and conveniently enough, it fits in the middle. Let's try to keep these in mind for later, because they can help us identify several other items and skills. But for now, that's the matching game. These are, of course, not the only methods of figuring things out, but they should help you get into the right mindset. If you can apply these concepts in your gameplay, you can play a Monster Hunter game in any language you like without reading a word. Thanks for watching, and I hope you'll join me in the next video, where I'll go over some things that you should know before importing Monster Hunter Double Cross, as well as some of the methods for importing it. See you then, friends.